And hello, welcome to episode 33 of my Bloodborne effective run.
Shrouded by night but with steady stride, coloured by blood but always clear of mind, proud hunter of the church, beasts are a curse and curse is a shackle. Only ye, the true blades of the church.
So in the last episode, we defeated what we thought was the secret, the fall of Ludwig, but it turns out Ludwig was just a guard for more secrets. Simon has ushered us further in to the dream to see what secrets lie beyond the fall of the great hero. Who we just heard was Yamamura. I'm not really sure much about him. I just know that he's far from the east, and his gear references the eastern set. So we're immediately in an area that kind of looks like a prison, and I think from Ludwig's perspective, he knows that he is guarding this. For instance, though, we're about to meet another guardian of the dream.
Are you a hunter? Well, that's very odd. Do you hear the toll of the bell? Very well. The beast you seek will not be found here. Go back to your hunt, and if you have the chance, put this night behind you. Places better left untouched. Secrets better left alone. Only a forward so brazenly roam.
This is Brador, or Brader. It depends on how you want to say it. But he is giving us a warning that we don't need to press forward, meaning that there is more to see. So Simon and him are both confirming that for us, though he expresses some concern that we need not go any further. And just indicating that he doesn't necessarily want us to go forward. Unfortunately, we can't open all the doors here, including Brador's. We'll get access to that later. And there's a few NPC hunter fights in here as well. Here we have the Fist of Gratia, a chunk of iron fitted with finger holes. The hulking hunter woman, Simple Gratia, ever hopeless when handling hunter firearms, preferred to knock the lights out of beast with this hunk of iron, which incidentally caused heavy stagger. Gratia was a fearsome hunter to onlookers, her unrelenting... basically... the Fist of Gratia is, if you want to get that whole description, you can pause. But it is a weapon you can put in your offhand, the same as the torch or a firearm, and it'll give a quick jab right into the gut of anything you're fighting. And it does immense stagger damage, so if you're getting stun locked in some way, shape, or form, you can use that to get out of that stun lock. Conversely, it's pretty useless at everything else, though. What I'm trying to do here is, I couldn't remember the exact room, but there is, in fact, a hunter in one of these rooms. I'm not sure if they just don't spawn yet, or if they've just set up some sort of rule that says you cannot hit him through the wall like you would in, many other circumstances where you can get the drop on people, similar to how we did in the Upper Cathedral Ward to get the key early. And next, we're going to go under the room. And like I said, I think Ludwig is aware that he is protecting all of this, but I think after this room is where it stops, where Ludwig isn't really sure of what he is guarding. These are the two guardians of the next secret, specifically, I would say. One of them, people say it might be Emilia, the dream version of Emilia, and there's a lot of good reason and thought for that. She's in a very similar room doing the same prayer, but I actually kind of feel like it's more closer to fake Yosefka. And the next area will encourage why that might be. But, fake Yosefka was creating kin or, mini versions of the celestial emissary. Let's listen to it. But, And so had knowledge of, the choir and its ongoings, or at least the origin of the choir. Also, watch out, you can't sneak up behind her. You have a bit of a problem over here. They're using the repeating pistol and Ludwig's Holy Blade. You can easily get about a third of her health off there. If you've done the farming from Murgo's Loft, you can easily get all of, well, maybe not all of it. Actually, yeah, probably, maybe all of it, if not 2/3 of her health off before having to back off. And I do encourage you to back off because the who I think is fake Yosefka over there is coming in hot with the ranged arcane attacks. And it is funny, if you interrupt her in the middle of her cast, the sound effect will still go off. So if you're wondering why you still heard that, I guess the game didn't compensate for the interruption of the attack or anticipate for it. There are a few things in the DLC that have programming holes, so to speak. Sound effect is one of them. Another one is the orphan itself. I don't use the poison knife cheese. I just straight up fight orphan. I quite like the fight, but it is definitely a neat one. So if for anybody who doesn't know, then I can go into some detail on it, but not too much. With the Orphan of Kos, you can shoot them to trigger the parry state. I don't know if the backstab works along with this. Oh, and oh yeah, we're about to unlock the secrets hidden within the skull of this patient being worked on by the Healing Church. Well, this is a statue emblemating that of what could be Master Willem and 2 followers. But, and there's a reason to think it is Master Willem. But back on my tangent, you can shoot him and then throw a poison knife and it just locks him up. He doesn't know how to react to that. And you can get a few swings in and then his AI resets and he starts attacking. You can, in fact, use this to prevent the orphan from going into phase 2. A lot of people use this strategy on their blood level 4 run. Now, this is the secret that is being hidden by those, but there is, in fact, another secret under Master Willem's statue here, which has some synergy and makes me feel like that statue is of Master Willem. Not only is it a very similar hat to him, but underneath there is in fact another I guess throne or seance, or seance is definitely the right word. Effigy of Lawrence's skull. And as we all know, Lawrence was a disciple of Master Willem and carried his teachings within to the Healing Church. So if that is not Master Willem, it is definitely someone Lawrence entrusted with a similar role within the Healing Church itself. But I'm not sure 100%. You know, this is all conjecture, which is pretty common for basically Bloodborne. So we just got the church cannon, which uses less bullets than the traditional cannon. So it can be fired more without doing anything creative. And more importantly, it fires at an arc, which makes it more challenging to use. The description kind of refers to it's more challenging than the brawny men it was designed for could use it as. Because it doesn't fire straight, it fires at a curve, which can be used to do some tricky shots. I'll see if I can find some videos that have trick shots with the cannon. If I don't find anything I like, I'll put a note in here saying that I didn't. But yeah, it's a neat tool that can be used for several things. All right, let's see What's so secret that they used a secret? They sacrificed a secret to cover it up. And here we are in the research hall. So, we're going to learn a lot about the research hall just based on the tone, and we can immediately infer some things about it. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Has someone, anyone, seen my eyes? I'm afraid I've dropped them in a puddle. Everything's pale now.
So here we have what appears to be a patient who I'm going to be putting out to pasture, so to speak. But they're looking for their eyes in a puddle where they can't see them. Similar to Velma, Jinkies, I can't see anything without my glasses. In this pool that is filled with poison. And, well, that is also going to be the basic enemy type that we face here. Luckily, there's not too much to collect in the puzzle that we can't get out quick enough. But yeah. This is the research hall. And that implies a few things. That the patients here don't seem to reflect in their understanding of this place. It is a place of research, where they are trying to understand how something works. What they're specifically researching, your first conclusion might be to jump to that they are researching the blood, how the blood affects patients. And they may have done that, but I think the research is much closer to Bergenworth in terms of its origins and themology. This is closer to research outside of blood administration, and research more of the mind and what it is capable of. Now, also, this could be research for treating people who have been affected by the blood, which would still lean into that theory as well, that they aren't using blood to cure blood. They're trying to figure out how to maybe reverse the transformation or something along those lines. But we have lots of people with bloated heads, which kind of leans me more to the checking what's on the inside of your mind already to ascend beyond human limitations. The naked ones are pretty scary, I'm sure you've noticed. But one thing you probably haven't noticed yet is that they actually can't see. They sense you via sound, which is why these bottles are all over the level. You'll notice that he sees us right away when we're trying to sneak up on him. Yeah, I think he heard the goosh rather than the bottles clicking, but it's really hard to sneak up behind this guy because of the bottles. And they use that to give the enemies some means of tracking you.
Lady Maria, save me, please. I don't hear anything.
And here we have a patient calling out for a Lady Maria, who would be, I guess, the caretaker or head nurse of the manor. Probably in this case, though, the head researcher. Although they would still use the same title of doctor or professor in this situation that they would use in a medical scenario. Because those kind of do overlap within English at least. But as we were saying, they do have means of tracking you. Obviously, they probably react exactly the same as other enemies. They're just limited in when they're allowed to react based on the proximity to them and the sound you make around them. Because while it may not seem like it yet, the enemies do in fact not have the ability to see us. They react upon sound. Somehow they have very sensitive ears, despite their ears being covered up. Maybe they connect to the... what's the word I'm looking for here? The eardrum very well. I don't know. And it gives them a super hearing sense. But that's the reason why bottles all over the ground and you make dinky-donkey noises. And if you get close enough, I can just assume that they hear your footsteps. This will be illustrated quite distinctly a bit later. So here we've got a few guys coming out. And they're coming out of a way you should not go in. And we're going to be visiting some tough patients here. This is kind of... the first time I came in here is when I decided to take these patients and put them, well, out of their misery. They're, as with most things in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and even Demon Souls for that matter, the game you're playing and most of the side quests are tragedies. They do not have happy endings. So sometimes the happiest ending you can give an NPC is not finishing their quest line, or the mercy that I'm about to grant them now.
Someone help me. I'm guilty. I know. But I won't do it again. I promise. The dumb darkness. It frightens me.
Lady Maria. Lady Maria. Please, take my hand. Please, help me. Don't let me drown.
I wish so very much there was a gesture that allowed me to hold this person's hand to see them on into the great beyond. Alas, all I can do is pay them their respects and send them on their way.
Kill me. Please, just kill me. Free me from this place before I go mad.
It may seem cold that this is probably the best solution or happiest ending for these people, and unfortunately, as we ascend deeper, as we climb the tower of the research hall, we will find that it only gets worse from here. Now we're going to face the first enemy that is really obvious, that they rely on sound to detect you, at least initially. Now they do have some good tracking after that fact, and you can explain that away as just having very good hearing, but it's definitely just normal enemy behavior attacking the player. Unfortunately, I try to go for the backstab on multiple occasions, but I miss, and I even walk into him here, and he doesn't really react. There it was. And I just can't seem to get the backstab, but now he's registered my location and is able to hit me. Now, one thing about these guys that I really probably should have just gone in this way, they're very parryable. You can still miss it, but they have a large parry window, although it may not be exactly where you expect, and that does cost me, not being able to expect its location does cost me a few times. Let's go ahead and check out in here so we can also just kind of see how these normal enemies don't react to us until we start moving. And that's even within a relatively close proximity, so that kind of makes the super hearing theory not really hold water, because these two didn't even react to me at all. If you run into the front entrance, though, all of these enemies are scripted to walk out and try to overwhelm the player, while all of these ones try to throw items at you. So that it's a trap meant to kill you. It's pretty common in FromSoft games, and this is where I actually started to have this thought in Bloodborne about what we're actually looking at within the Hunter's Dream. In Dark Souls and in Demon Souls, you're looking at places where tragedy has already happened. The big majority, like the fall of a nation or anything like that, the giant, colossal action that led to the fall of a nation has already occurred. And in Bloodborne, you're basically, like, we're seeing a lot of things that tragically have happened in the past, but on the grand scale perspective, like it is in the Souls games, we're actually witnessing in a different time period. We're in the middle of the collapse. Although in this particular instance with the DLC, it harkens a little more closely to what Dark Souls and Demon Souls is initially put forth. We're exploring a dream, so we're not exploring a reality within itself, but all of these places are a representation of a very real, as in real within Bloodborne place. While it might not be the exact thing, it's the amalgamation of memories of the hunters that took place here. So we're exploring an area and piecing together what did happen, like what occurred, not what is occurring. And that is where this DLC separates itself from a story perspective of Bloodborne. The story perspective in Bloodborne is the hunt starts and you react to the developments of the hunt, or are instructed to react that way. And here we've got some patients that are trying to go upstairs and climb the Tower of Simaria, and unfortunately don't get to achieve their goal. As you'll see, there's a guardian, maybe? Or it's just a madman in a wheelchair, you know? I kind of wish wheelchairs had that many features on my end. We have another one of the situations where it's like, are you sure you can't see me? But I did dink a bottle. So it gives them some form of awareness to my location, and maybe we can say that the flailing is just so wild enough that it happens to hit the hunter. A dirty damp bludgeon. Dirty damp bludgeons are more for poison builds, so pretty good on the Blades of Mercy. If you're wondering, what weapon would serve well as a poison weapon, Blades of Mercy, and then anything that has lots of hits to it. They really want you to see this tragedy. As you can see, when I decided to ignore that and go into the next room, they turned off their script and walked back to me. And then as soon as I exit the room, they decide to walk back up those stairs. I just find that little portion silly. So you might be inclined to go upstairs first. I do have a recommendation of going down the stairs and getting our shortcut. If you look over to the right wall, we're probably not going to see it in this shot. But there is, in fact, a little area that you can go in to get to a floor that is accessible through different means. Left him with 1 health. So here we have research being done. Now, they may, in fact, be looking for a cure, and that pursuit itself is noble, but as you can see by the means by which they are trying to pursue this cure, or whatever it is they're actually doing, the means are quite horrifying. Now, I have walked out this door, but I do recommend going down that elevator and opening the door at the bottom of the elevator before doing anything else. That way, we have our fuck up. You know, we have our fuck up sticker. So, like, you know, if we do fuck up, we can come through the shortcut and don't have to make that long climb again.
Is that you, Lady Maria? No. You're someone else. Please, could you do something for me? I need brain fluid. Murky, mushy brain fluid.
So here we have reference to Lady Maria once again. So, you know, again hinting that she might be the,
Do something for me.
you know, head honcho of the research hall and the nice, merciful woman, despite the heavy experimentation. And then we also have the beginnings of our side quest. So it's requested by, this is Adeline, that we bring her brain fluid. And if you're wondering how we acquire brain fluid, it's just as gruesome as everything else in this game. So now that we've unlocked the shortcut, we can feel free to explore a little bit more heavily. So you could go out left there or go right into the pit. I don't know what my particular thought process was when I was recording this. It's been so long. It was a different point in my life. But I decided to go ahead and go upwards and get caught on the stairway. And just watch that man go all the way down. Bang. I mean, I kind of wish, like, I hope, like, if I ever end up in a wheelchair, my wheelchair is as badass as the wheelchairs in Yarnum. Maybe not with a Gatling gun, but with the comfort features and mobility. I don't know. In place of, yeah, like, comfort features and mobility in place of the badassery that is the, having a Gatling gun on your wheelchair. I mean, he's having a good time. You can't say he's not. Every time he cranks that thing, he gets that evil ha 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 laugh. So, here we've got some dudes walking around without heads. And one thing I really do want to point out, the R1 L1 attack staggers them. And maybe some other weapons do, but these guys have a lot of poise. A lot. They will smack you unless you do something that does heavy poise damage. And here we have their other halves. So they become two beings at this point. Separated from their bodies. I do believe there's the implication of there being more heads than bodies kind of implies that the heads live longer than the body does. And you do have to watch out for their frenzy explosion. And finally we get some fashion. You ever wanted to wear a bloated head on your head? So like the skin of the head explodes. You can kind of see where the face would be. And then they take the bloated portion off, and yeah, and somehow there's no head in there, and yeah. Anyway, let's wear a head. I'm not sure, but I do think if you wear this in a very quiet area, it may produce an extra sound effect. I couldn't really notice it myself, but there is some debate about that on the forums online about whether this actually produces the squishy, watery, puddly sound effect that all the other NPCs in this area seem to be referencing. And here's what I talk about being unlucky with the parry window. Also, being unlucky on the stairs. So don't fight him on the stairs like I'm doing right now. That'll get you killed. Go all the way up to his level, or bring him down to the circular area where there's lots of fence to fight around in. So bait him down. That's more effective IMO. So now you get to see the quick run up. No, actually, I think we get to explore the area that I commented on not exploring before. And also, you get to see my bad habits of forgetting to send the elevator down, just in case I make a mistake, or maybe I'm just too cocky. Both are probably true. So, while we're doing this run back, I've talked a lot about the lore, but I've been promising to talk about how cerebral palsy affects me as a video game player. And I've got a while to talk about that and discuss it now. So, if this is your first video watching with me, please go back and watch all the other videos if you're trying to follow along as the build, or if you're just enjoying it for entertainment. In that case, welcome. But for anybody who's been curious, and those people, I have cerebral palsy, and it affects fine motor control on the right side of my body. I don't know if those are all the technical terms for that. I just know how it affects me, and for somehow with the Souls games and Bloodborne, luckily the controls for the most part are so simplistic. It doesn't really cause much of a struggle, but there are some things that I have trouble with, like jump attacks and kicking in the higher Souls games where I have to push 2 buttons at once. I do find those very difficult, but from what I understand, it's that timing can be difficult for anyone. Where it has most affected me is camera control. Now, luckily, in a third-person game like this with lock-on, and it's not being a shooter really, I don't really need to have good control of lock-on, but you'll definitely see me in my playthrough kind of just know and get a feel for where enemies are, because it's easier at that point to just visualize and think about where they would be than it is for me to actually steer the camera and control all the functions and attacks that I want to use. Because I'll often frequently overcompensate or undercompensate the camera and then get too fixated on that, rather than just swing away because they're probably over here. From a shooting perspective, it's quite challenging, and I do okay. I play a lot of Destiny. Well, now I guess it's Destiny 2 at this point. And I had played a lot on PlayStation, and eventually moved to PC. And upon moving to PC, I used a controller for quite a while because I just simply couldn't. There wasn't a mouse that met my needs, and there wasn't a keyboard really that worked well. Like, I used the arrow keys, like the bottom T or the upside down T of arrow keys, and I would use the number pad along with that. But on this side note, we do have another person who's unfortunately gone into madness. They seem to be handling it well by planting lumen flowers, or these giant sunflowers. And they don't react to getting stabbed unless you do a fully charged R2. But I'd moved over to that sort of control scheme, but I still hadn't really found a mouse that allowed me to take over enough of the controls by my left hand while using the left-handed mouse to go. And there was just no option of using my right hand with a mouse. So there's just no precision that would be required for a shooter. I ended up, Razor Naga left-handed edition ended up making a comeback, and I ended up getting a hold of that, and I still used the arrow keys and number pad at first, and I used it, and suddenly I was able to play Minecraft. I could feasibly play PvE Destiny. But I still had issues of, like, I tried to play Doom Eternal, and I noticed that I just couldn't really, like, platforming, mobility, things like that, things I really had to be good at in order to actually be competitive in Destiny because my shot was so bad. It just wasn't realistic. So I happened upon the idea of using a flight stick, or what I referred to as a joystick, which apparently lots of things now. It was a very frustrating shopping process till I finally settled on the term flight stick that the industry had decided to use. Oh, here we have an NPC hunter. Let's talk about what they have. They've got the cane. And, well, not a good PvE weapon. It's a pretty good PvP weapon, if anybody's wondering what it is in fact good for. And you're getting to see why. Its range is pretty great, and its parry window is pretty tiny. This NPC will also throw poison knives at you. And don't get stuck in the corner like I'm about to be. But but that's pretty much their whole stick. They've got the cane, and then they've got poison knives and a repeating pistol to do lots of damage to you. But back on my thought, I switched to a flight stick, and upon that, after first setting that up, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, how do I get this to actually work and register as keystrokes? And I happened upon a program at first called Anti-Micro, which unfortunately is no longer updated. It's the best program I've found.
Plip, plop, plip, plop, plip, plop, plip, plop. Plip, plop, plip, plop. Plip, plop, plip, plop.
So if you're wondering where to get brain fluid, here it is. These things are, at least temporarily and functionally, immortal from mortal damage like this. They probably age and die. But from that perspective, they have achieved a form of immortality in that you cannot kill them as the hunter. But as I was saying, I found Anti-Micro, and it was fantastic the way it could customize things. I could even get it to not register based on how far the joystick went. And unfortunately, recently it stopped working. It's no longer working with current versions of Windows. I can get it to boot up and translate my controls, but I unfortunately have no control over it anymore. I've had to go back to Joy to Key. So if any game devs decide to watch this, I think it would be amazing if you would find a way to support joystick and mouse as a official input method. I would really personally appreciate that. But I don't have my hopes high up on that one. However, it would, for this left-handed dependent community with people with weaker off arms, it would be an absolute game changer. If that input option was supported, because an MMO mouse plus a joystick is a powerful combo for people that have trouble using keyboards as a game input method. There are also people that will use voice commands. For anybody who's wondering about that, like for one-handed individuals, they can use voice commands such as forward, jump, stop, and then they can turn the camera with a mouse or a joystick upon that, and put some of the buttons on there for one-handed people and amputees. And there's even software and tools for people that are total amputees.
Listen close, and you too will hear the sound of water.
So ultimately, it seems they are, in fact, pursuing something here to that end. And we actually get to see the conclusion of their research. It may not have been their initial pursuit or purpose for their research, but they do ultimately come to we ultimately come to a conclusion or resolution for the direction they're taking humanity here. So the reason we climb all the way to the top of this tower and there's no boss is so you can push this crank, and this crank moves all of the stairwells to go to another place.
Have you heard how curiously the sea churns? Like a storm, but like the rain, only gentle, like dripping water. It bellows from deep inside of me. Here it comes, up through my inside, but gently, like little droplets.
So it's kind of interesting that that one specifically, regains some form of sanity more than just drip drop after I lay some smackdown. We've got a few more areas we can traverse and explore here. But so if I do have any viewers who are physically challenged for gaming, I'm interested to hear if you have stopped playing games, like specific games. I know some people, like for instance, only play turn-based RPGs, like older Final Fantasies or some of those games, or and games of that style, like Persona, things that they can play with, you know, a slower input method or more convenient one. So if any of you are challenged in that way, let me know what your solutions are to play games beyond your normal means by the, you know, just normal input method. I'd be interested to hear them, and if anybody does have a similar input method for shooters like me, please share what your solution for, like, for instance, joystick and keyboard are, or things like that. I'm very curious to hear it. So we've gotten 2 things of brain fluid, and I'm going to reveal a mystery here for anybody who's watching the video along, just trying to see where all 3 brain fluids are. Out in the wild like this, these are the only 2. There is a 3rd brain fluid, but it's very cleverly hidden, and it's hidden behind the quest development for Adeline that we have. So you actually need to develop her quest line a little further before you can get the 3rd one. You can't collect all 3 at once. So hopefully that alleviates some of the frustration you might be having with the video and scene that we're in. Finally, we're going to be grabbing a rune. I don't know why this crow has a rune, but this is the most important giant crow in the game. Maybe it used to be human, and that's why it's discovered guidance. I don't know. And once again, guidance is not the tool with which you get more notes to help you get through a level. It is, in fact, the tool you use to boost your rally potential. So that way, if you get hit, you can wail away, allowing you to use more of a tanky build. It probably goes very well with the use of a lead elixir. For those of you who don't know what a lead elixir is, it is an item that you probably have picked up by now. But effectively what it does is you drink it, and it gives you ridiculous poise to the point of not only do you not only are you not phased by an attack, but if another player comes up to attack you, you will they will bounce off of your body. It effectively puts heavy lead through your blood that your heart is somehow still able to pump through your veins without adversely affecting you in a greatly negative manner. This is the door to the boss room. Somehow that occurs. So video games, we'll just chop it up to video games. But it's a very strong PvP item. However, any smart player is just going to run away from you until it wears off. So be warned of that. It's any smart PvP player would play it that way, and you are still vulnerable to being gun parried or counter shot. The quit out there was not for any particular reason. The quit out there was because of real life. I don't remember what the issue was, but I think I got a phone call maybe for a particular job or for work at the time, and I needed to quit out and return. I didn't do that for any reason to try to reset the area anyway, so don't feel like you need to do that as well. Here we're going to get the lock shield, which might have been useful in preventing a death from earlier, but it's still a shield in Bloodborne. So its use is that it blocks magic. It is good for that, but outside of that, it's not very effective for its use in other Souls games. For anybody wondering, what are your thoughts now that we've kind of explored the research hall and kind of gotten to really see the horrors that happened? The church clearly has experimented on people under the guise of helping them. Or have you interpreted the research hall in a different way? We'll get some more hints on that from Simon. We don't really get to get any more bonus lore on any dialogue from Maria. We do get to learn more about Maria overall, but yeah, she doesn't really provide any insight to us and specifically what was happening. Maybe her gear or her weapon description might provide some insight, but I think it just more provides insight onto her particular origins, her relationship with Gehrman, and her relationship with Cainhurst. So, for anybody, I guess I've let the cat out of the bag on that one. Cainhurst and the... what's the word? Bjarnam, the regular hunters themselves, used to cooperate. This is when the blood first kind of showed up. So it kind of makes it fuzzy on how long this actually has been going on, but it appears to be at least a generation or two. So while Queen Annalise claims to be ancient and young, we can't really see her face to in fact see how old she is.
Please, could you do something for me? I need brain fluid. Murky, mushy brain fluid. Oh, thank you. You're terribly kind. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, I hear the sticky sound. Do you hear it too? Oh, I know. Will you have my blood as thanks? I'll have you know, I was once a blood saint too. That makes me happy, but I cannot move. Look, on my right arm. I'm sorry to trouble you, but you don't mind, do you? Oh, there you are. Don't be greedy. As they say, fear the thirst for blood. I should know. I was once a blood saint too.
So it looks like the saying has been altered from fear the old blood to fear the thirst for blood.
Oh, hello. Not a pretty sight, is it? The true face of the blood-worshipping, beast-purging, healing church. But that's not all. You seek the secrets held by the nightmare, do you not? Then here's what you must do. Climb the astral clock tower and kill Maria. She hides the real secret.
So for anyone wondering, Adeline's blood is the best blood in the game. No one has any better blood. It's pretty amazing. And so what Simon is kind of hinting to us there is that while we've discovered an even deeper secret, it is not what's truly hidden within the nightmare. It is still put there to obfuscate us from the true secret of the healing church and the true secret of all of that knowledge. Or maybe not of the knowledge itself, but the true secret behind the healing church and potentially Bergenworth as well, as they are connected still. And we're still seeing the fission or fusion of the two ideas, the difference in philosophy, but the respect of the knowledge still being utilized and going deeper on Willem's path rather than his. So you'll see a quick outfit change here. I've decided to include some footage from the next episode. I originally had intended to just include this in the fight with the Living Failures, but I felt like it detracted from the Living Failures fight too much. While the Living Failures is not necessarily a challenging boss fight, it certainly is a boss fight on its own and, deserves some merit outside of the extra part of the research hall that we're seeing here. And what we're going to go through is still very much more closely tied to the research hall than the boss fight that is the Living Failures itself. So first we're going to go through visits with Adeline. This might seem like it's jumbled around, and that's because it is. I needed to do some editing. I wanted to rearrange what occurs in such a way that it makes more sense. So as a result, I jumbled things around to make more sense about what's going on the screen. We're going to go through and finish Adeline's quest line here. For whatever reason, I had to play around with getting her to actually progress. Saving, quitting is hard, and saving and quitting doesn't necessarily work. And I'm like, I've got brain fluid for you, lady. Take it. Leaving the area and coming back didn't work. So we're going to have to do a series and combination of those things to just try to get it to work so we can see her quest line through to its fruition.
Hello? Please, somebody. I'm trying. Hello? Please. Please, please bring me. I must have it. Without it, I'll be sent. Yes, that's it. Let me have it. I can hear it. Yes. The sound that guides me. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have saved me. Take this charm. Lady Maria gave it to me. Please, do not abandon me. I promise to do good.
I promise to do good. So Lady Maria has clearly given her a lot of affection, for better or worse.
Oh, hello, sticky sound. Drip. How extraordinary. Can you hear it? Oh, hello. One last time. Will you fetch brain fluid just one last time? The murky, mushy fluid that will make me whole. The sticky sound whispers to me, so very close, right into my ear. My head, just a head, that's all there is. I need my baptism. Please, I beg of you. I want to be something.
So for anybody wondering how to get the third set of brain fluid for her, here's how you do it. Ironic, I know.
Please give me brain fluid. The sticky sound whispers I need my baptism. Or perhaps I'm already brimming over. I see a shape. My guide, I see your voice. Clearly as it bends and bleeds. My own revelation. Just for me. Thank you for everything. Really, I used to be nothing.
That part really breaks my heart, actually. At least she rests now, but yeah, every time it breaks my heart. So, at the end of that, she discovers an ultimate truth and sees a Carol rune, the HPL rune, H.P. Lovecraft. The L just happens to be behind the H and the P in terms of how you would read this. It is an homage, so to speak, to H.P. Lovecraft, who is the popular father of the genre. There are actually a lot of other writers who could be credited for creating the genre or popularizing it and making it popular. So next, we're going to take the key that she gave us and use it to go through this door. The balcony, and we'll be in a very familiar room. Same, but different. This is very similar, if not the same room, to the Celestial Emissary boss fight. And this is the part where it kind of made me think that the person citing the hymn there was actually fake Yosefka rather than Amelia. Because, I mean, we've seen people in both representations inside the Hunter's Dream and both outside of it. So a consciousness split or a copied consciousness, either way. But it may be the same garden, it may not, but the resemblance is striking. And you'll get that resemblance very quickly as soon as well, too. And we've just grabbed the Black Sky Eye, which is of no use to this build, but if you're doing an arcane run, that's a very handy item. But yeah, these are the predecessors, I would say. Like, these are the predecessors to what ends up becoming the kin and eventually the Celestial Emissary. Is what these people were. And that's why I think that one of the guardians of this portion of the dream was a facsimile or part of, or in fact was, the trapped fake Yosefka. This also should look very familiar to you as well, but it's different. It doesn't go all the way to the back, so it's not the same room, or not the same room yet. This is more likely to be that room, because it could have eventually been constructed to allow for the railing to go in the back and then down where it was already dug out. Nope. Nope. Alright, I finally made it across to get through this chest. I want to thank you all for watching, and if you've made it into this far, just thank you for watching the whole video. I really appreciate anybody who gives my videos a chance. I've been doing this as a hobby, and it's a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and have a wonderful night.